Good morning, dear students. In the previous lectures, we have been discussing Aristotle's Poetics. In that Aristotle Poetics, already we discussed Aristotle's observations on poetry and Aristotle's observations on prose. Today, I would like to discuss Aristotle's observations on comedy. Already we discussed that man may imitate two types of actions, noble actions and mean action. So, imitation of noble actions and imitation of mean actions. From that, we came to know that we have epic and satire, and from that epic was originated tragedy, and from that satire was originated comedy. So tragedy has its origin in epic, and epic has its origin in noble actions, such as the hymns to the gods and praises of great men. Okay, so in that noble, this is how the noble actions were imitated. Okay, generally we attribute divinity to the so-called gods or the great men. That's why the hymns to the gods and the praises to the great men, or the praises of the famous men. So from those praises of the famous men, the poets imitated the noble actions. So dear students, when the poet imitated the mean actions, he satirically imitated. That's why it is a satire. So in the satire, the personalities were imitated. The mean personalities were imitated. But from the satire was originated comedy. That comedy imitates not the personalities, but those ridiculous behavior. So this comedy imitates not the sinner but the sin. Satire imitates, or satire criticizes, or satire discusses sinner, whereas the comedy discusses or deal with the sin. Okay, so what is the common fault, or what is the common weakness? That's what this comedy discusses. Of course, in poetics, much portion was not devoted to comedy, but still it has its own significance in Aristotle Poetics. So the roots of comedy lie deep in satirical verse, as those of tragedy in epic poetry. The roots of the comedy lie deep in satirical verse. Likewise, the roots of the tragedy lie deep in epic poetry. In fact, they lie deeper still, for satirical verse itself owes its origin to the earlier Phallic songs sung in the honor of Dionysus, the god of fertility. See, in epic, there are hymns and praises, hymns to the gods and praises to the great men. In satire, these mean actions were imitated, but that satire has its origin in panic songs. So, the earlier Phallic songs sung in the honor of Dionysus, the god of fertility. The god of fertility. So, as the epic has its origin in hymns to the gods and praises of the great men, this satire has its origin in Phallic songs. Phallic songs are the songs that were sung to the honor of the fertility god, that is Dionysus. So, as tragedy follows its parental forms, tragedy follows its parental forms, that is epic poetry and the hymns to the gods. Okay, as tragedy following its parental forms, epic poetry and hymns represents men as nobler than they are, whereas the comedy, as it also follows its parental forms, that is satire and the Phallic songs, it represents men as worse than they are. Tragedy represents men nobler than they are. This comedy represents men worse than they are. So, while the satire ridicules personalities, comedy ridicules general vices. Not wishes, vices. V-I-C-E-S, vices. So, students, here, you should understand the difference between satire and comedy. Satire ridicules personalities, that is, individual persons. Then this comedy ridicules or make a comment on the general vices, or the common possible vices for all the human beings, that is general vices, universal manner. So, satire ridicules sinner, comedy ridicules sins. So, here, as we discussed that, this comedy imitates the worst characters. This earlier critics, before this Aristotle, they felt that it is dangerous or it is harmful to the human personality. But Aristotle gave a different sense for the word worst character. Worst character. Worst character is not the cruel character. Remember, students, worst character is not a cruel character for Aristotle. But for the earlier critics, worst character means cruel character, which may be harmful to the human hearts, which may harm the hearts of the people. So, by characters worse than the average, Aristotle does not mean men who are wicked or vicious, but merely men who have some defect or ugliness, which is not painful or destructive. Students, in the earlier criticism before this Aristotle, the critics felt that by the word worst character they meant that the men who are wicked and vicious, and whose character may be painful or destructive. But Aristotle gave another definition for the word worst character. Already, when we discussed his observations on tragedy, we discussed how this Aristotle gave a different meaning for the word imitation. Now he is going to give new meaning or another connotation for the word worst character. So, as all others believe, as all other critics believe that worst character is wicked or vicious, this Aristotle doesn't mean that idea. By characters worse than the average, Aristotle meant that they are merely the men who have some defects, who have some ugliness, which is not painful or destructive. That is just a defect. That is just an ugliness. What is ugliness? Which is not fair. That's it. If you say something is not fair, it doesn't mean that it is cruel, it is bad. It is not so worst. It is just not fair, that's it. Okay, so some defects. These worst characters have some defects or ugliness in their thoughts or in their faces. What they do is defective or ugly, to provoking laughter. This defect or ugliness, this defective or ugly feature or that nature will provoke laughter. Such defect or such ugliness, as Aristotle considers. So, this defective or ugly, such nature provokes laughter but leads to no harm or pain, either to themselves or to others. Either themselves or to others. So, dear students, that process of getting or provoking laughter out of defective nature or out of this ugliness does not lead to harm. It is not painful either to themselves or to the others. Okay, dear students. So, they are merely ludicrous. They are merely ludicrous and no more. Ludicrous means foolish or unreasonable. Foolish or unreasonable. In Telugu we call hasyaspadamaina. Hasyaspadamaina. That is, that defectiveness, that ugliness in the character is not harmful. It is just merely ludicrous. So, this ludicrous is merely a subdivision of the ugly. Ludicrous is merely a subdivision of the ugly. So, it includes only general follies among its objects. Okay, according to Aristotle, the imitation of worst characters include only general follies among its objects. Its objects in the sense, its characters. The characters, what the poet select. Okay. So, dear students, Aristotle disagreeing with Plato, including only general follies among its objects. He rules out malicious pleasure as the basis of comedy. He rules out malicious pleasure as the basis of comedy. When the pleasure arises not from a person but a general foible, F-O-I-B-L-E, foible, that is weakness, and causes no pain whatever either to the victim or to the spectator, there can be no malice in it. Okay, so he rules out the malicious pleasure. All the earlier critics, including this Plato, his master, they believed that this comedy is based on the malicious pleasure, or we can say Rakshasanandam. So, dear students, Aristotle denied the idea that the malicious pleasure is the basis for this comedy. He denied that idea. He says that when the pleasure arises not from a person but from a general foible and causes no pain whatever either to the victim or to the spectator, there can be no malice in it. There can be no malice in it. Finally, Aristotle says, comedy shares the generalizing power of poetry. In the poetry we can find that the generalization of the facts or truths that were observed or found by the poet. In the same manner, the comedy also has the same power of generalization. Finally, comedy shares the generalizing power of poetry. As the poetry has generalizing power, in the same manner this comedy also has such generalizing power. It equally represents not what has happened. Already when we discussed what is the difference between poetry and history. Okay, history records what has happened. Poetry may expect what may happen according to the law of probability. Law of probability. Finally, comedy shares the generalizing power of poetry. It equally represents not what has happened, but what may happen. So, it also follows the same idea, the same principle, that according to the law of probability, it expects what may happen. It may reveal what is the probable in a given set of circumstances. It reveals what is probable or what is likely to happen in a given set of circumstances. This is borne out by its choice of a general and not an individual foible for its object. So, in this point lies the difference between satire and this comedy. This is borne out by its choice, not an individual foible, but of a general foible. General foible. What is the weakness that is common for most of the people, or for all the people in general? So, it's a choice of foible. Based on the choice of the foible, either general foible or individual foible, we will decide whether it is satire or comedy. So, they represent more or less universal rather than individual frailties. Frailties means foibles or weaknesses. They represent more or less universal rather than individual frailties. So, if it is satire, it imitates, so they represent more or less universal rather than individual frailties. More or less universal. If that represents universal, more or less, then it is comedy. If it represents individual frailties, then it is a satire. In the comedy, it does not conclude not so-and-so behaved, but how all men of the same type will behave in the same circumstances. How all men of the same type. For the generalization, how all men of the same type will behave in the same circumstances. This is what Aristotle mentioned in his Poetics about this comedy. So, this is the Aristotle's observations on comedy. Yes, children. Watch the video carefully and learn the content in this video and get good knowledge. Happy learning. Thank you, one and all.